They let them out to play.
In your backyard.
This is just your routine, everyday stuff here, right?
20 years in the business.
Have they been inside your home?
Yeah.
We've definitely gone through the looking glass today, guys. I've seen the tapes before, but this is one of the best ones I've ever seen.
All the way up, you can feel it in your butt and your back.
So what do you think?
Oh,
Was I abducted?
a lot of similarities. Unfortunately, you're not unique in this world.
Everything we were trying to figure out, you pretty much told us.
Did-
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you did real good.
Wow.
You did good. I'll show it to you. What we're watching here with Chris is very consistent with the typical abduction scenario. It obviously accounts for the missing time.
Can I come back?
It also accounts for the fact that someone got in the truck, drove up the hill to where he was, and he wasn't there. You said at one point, you said something about the little ones, and you said they put them out, let them out to play or something. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Said, oh, they were just let them out to play.
He said, in your backyard. You'll play in your backyard.
This has been one hell of a week. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. So right now I think we're going to be mostly in analysis mode and trying to figure out where we're going to take the investigation next.
And when I came home to tell everybody, I was rejected like I was completely nuts.
If you'd come back and said this person's like totally psychotic, it would have made this real easy for us.
Let me go. I want to see my son. They're looking at me. There's 4 of them. They're not human. They're not human.
In an effort to reconnect Chris with his experience, we created an animation to show him. And we're hoping with his feedback, we can know whether we're accurate or not.
Here's the first one. What we're looking at here would be when you guys were at the riverbank and you saw the lights come over. How's that look?
It's pretty close. The third orb should be where the further one is on the left.
You want me to back this up a little bit,
No,
Chris?
stop it right there. When I first came up the road, I was looking that way. It was about this amount of light. There was one here, more like this high. And this one that was stationary was here. And then one came from here in a blink of an eye and stopped just above those trees right there.
So the fact that Chris was able to point out the discrepancies in the animation and how they could be fixed lends more credibility to his testimony.
The way he's got it's pretty close. Right there. See that spike? Is that sticking out on the front?
He does have
Do away with those. I mean, a few changes and it'll be...
Well, we're going to go back and we'll get it fixed so it's right like you showed us.
Now that we have Chris's feedback, we can finalize the animation.
He has this very vivid image of what he saw, starting with him up at the top of the hill and seeing these orbs coming over the field, and then going back down to the riverbank and witnessing these lights coming over with the other folks there that were fishing with him. And then all of them getting back in the truck and going to the top of the hill again and seeing this strange spike craft. And then racing home from there and having this alien encounter.
It changed everybody in our house. For the first time in our life, we were not open. We avoided the dinner table together. I've been ashamed to share anything with anybody, and I have neglected some family members, avoided them intentionally. It's been emotional, it's been stressful, it's been horrifying.
In fact, can I tell you this? Our marriage and our family was on the verge of splitting up over this thing.
So it's been tough, but it's not a train wreck yet.
The dramatic changes in their behavior and the stressors that it caused in their family life is a major confirmation that something went on.
Chris had more to lose than to gain by making up the story. So the question is, did he really see UFOs and was he abducted? Or is this all in his head? Debbie, James Carey on.
Hi, James.
It's a pleasure to meet you. You're actually going to be able to come up with a diagnosis, whether there's any elements of fantasy proneness, any red flags you're looking for in terms of could it be a hoax?
You know, I'm going to do an in-depth interview with him and try to get as much information as I can.
Personality disorders I would be looking for in a case like this would be something like narcissistic personality disorder, or their proneness to fantasy, or if they have any sociopathic tendencies.
Debbie, Richard.
Hi,
Debbie,
Joy.
Chris,
Hi,
Bledsoe.
Nice to meet you.
This is Chris's wife,
How you
Vaughn.
doing?
Hi, Vaughn. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What I was really looking for was whether he showed any indications of these personality disorders that would really tell me that there's a hoax going on here.
Debbie's a psychiatric social worker. She's a professor, a college professor in Maryland. Just tell her, just be open, tell her what you're thinking, and I think everything will be fine, okay?
Make yourself at home.
Thanks. First test is a skid. You just do a general interview. Are people anxious? Are they depressed? From that very structured interview, you piece together a diagnosis. And the other test is the MMPI-2, and that is a personality inventory. What are his general features, how he portrays himself in the world, how he reacts in different situations. So we thought those two would be the best tests to give. So has there ever been a period of time when you felt deeply depressed?
2001, during election times, I lost $2 million cash dollars because I had 27 houses that sat on the market a year and a half. It caused a lot of depression, but I never told my family the stress that I was under because I was sheltered then. Well, it made my condition very rough.
And you always have a sense of who you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you don't lose touch with that. About that night and what happened, would you describe that as a trauma?
Oh, it was definitely traumatic.
You're saying
Yes,
traumatic.
ma'am. It's very painful to think about it. And when I came home to tell everybody I was rejected, like I was completely nuts.
Yeah, you have a lot of pain about that. Yeah. There's nothing to indicate that in my conversation today with Chris that he's experiencing any break with reality. And it certainly was not indicated in the skid interview that Chris Sr. is psychotic. On the other hand, he sort of has a proneness to unusual ideas and beliefs, which probably made him more susceptible, but certainly did not create any kind of mental illness.
Debbie administered a second test, the MMPI-2, the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test. And the test shows he's in his right mind.
The MMPI basically said that he is vulnerable, and being vulnerable, he could have a certain level of psychotic or disturbed thinking, but that really seems unlikely, and actually his personality profile doesn't indicate that he's sort of prone to, making up lies or conspiring or things like that.
If you'd come back and said this person's like totally psychotic, and it would have made this real easy for us.
And that never came up. Yeah.
I was pretty relieved that I didn't see any of the major personality disorders there. So I'm pretty convinced that this is not something that was hoaxed.
Come on, talk for me. Wish you would.
It simply doesn't make any sense whatsoever that he would lie about it, that he would collude with others to lie about it, that he would conspire with anyone. You risk more coming forward with a story like this than you would ever gain. But the bottom line is, it's Chris Sr.'s word about whether he saw this creature. And that's why we have to do the polygraph. Because this case is based on anecdotal testimony, we decided to use the polygraph to see if Chris is telling us the truth.
Hey, Yvonne.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Steve.
How are you?
Good to see you, my
Good to
friend.
see you.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
As far as polygraph is concerned, you know, you're either telling the truth or you're not telling the truth.
A lie is a lie is a lie, I suppose.
That's it.
Polygraph is really only as good as the operator's interpretation. We were lucky to get Bob